A 2022 BMW M3 Competition X-Drive, once sharp and fast, now sat damaged after crashing straight into a house. Front smashed, back twisted, airbags gone off, panels torn. Nothing about it looked ready for the road again. It was bought for £32,000, cheap for what it used to be, but the reason was clear the moment they saw it. The crash had done serious damage. The car would not even start at first. Modern BMWs are not simple. They are full of safety systems that shut everything down after a crash. One of those is the pyro fuse. It cuts power after airbag deployment, so the car stays off for safety. They found it had triggered, so nothing would start. That was step one. They carefully worked around the system just to see if the engine itself was still alive, because if the engine was dead, everything was over. They bypassed what they needed just for testing. No shortcuts for final build, just for diagnosis. They checked oil flow, cooling lines, and basic power. The oil cooler pipes were not right, so they used temporary safe hoses just to move forward with testing. Then, they turned the key again. This time, something happened. The engine woke up. They now had to check how deep the damage was. Suspension parts were bent. Subframe looked risky, so they measured everything carefully. They used proper tools, including a tram gauge, to check if the chassis was still aligned. Slowly, they discovered something important. The main structure was not fully twisted. It was damaged, yes, but not beyond repair. That meant the dream was still possible. Still, they found bent parts in the rear. The trailing arm was clearly damaged. That alone could ruin how the car drives. So it had to go. They replaced it with the correct part. The rear shock absorber was not healthy. That also got replaced. Step by step, they started rebuilding the foundation of the car. The interior looked like it had been hit by an explosion inside. Every airbag had to be replaced. They sourced new ones and fitted them one by one. The dashboard had to come out completely because it was damaged beyond saving. That alone is a big job in a modern BMW. Everything inside is connected. Wiring, screens, modules, all linked together. But they removed it carefully, piece by piece, without breaking what still worked. The seatbelts had locked after the crash, as they are designed to do. They were sent to specialists to be reset properly. No shortcuts here. Safety had to be correct. Once everything was back in place, they started dealing with electrical faults. Modern cars do not forgive mistakes in wiring. One wrong connection can cause battery drain or warning lights everywhere. They found an issue in the seat module wiring. It was pulling power even when the car was off. That is the kind of fault that drains a battery overnight. So they traced it, corrected it, and rewired it back to factory style. They even replicated OEM ambient lighting circuits so everything behaved like it should. Slowly, the electrical system started to make sense again. Now, the body. This was the most physical part of the rebuild. The rear quarter panel was heavily damaged. Not just scratched or dented, it was structurally broken. So they did something serious. They cut out the damaged section. Then they prepared a replacement panel. Some parts were OEM, some were second-hand but correct. They lined everything up carefully before welding. They used plug welds, just like factory BMW construction, not random welding, proper spot weld style repairs. Every hole had to be drilled, cleaned, aligned, then welded in place. Slow work, careful work. They sanded old spot welds, removed damaged metal, and made sure nothing weak was left behind. This is where many crash repairs fail, but they took their time. Once the metal was back in place, they moved to sealing. Seam sealer went on every joint, protection against water and rust, then primer, then paint. Slowly, the damaged shell started to look whole again. Not perfect yet, but no longer destroyed. The car was beginning to remember what it used to be. The front end was another battle. Bonnet area damage, wings, headlights, radiator pack, all had to be replaced. The pedestrian protection system was checked too, because modern BMWs have sensors designed to protect people outside the car in crashes. Everything had to be reset or replaced correctly. Bit by bit, the front came back together. When the body started to look complete again, they moved to suspension and wheels. This part is what makes a car feel alive or dead on the roads. New wheels were fitted, 20-inch setup all around, bigger stance, more aggressive look. The alignment was done carefully. They installed a full Scorpion exhaust system, wider pipes, better flow, louder sound, not just for noise, but for breathing. The engine needed to breathe freely. Then came the induction kit, a system with carbon piping. That helped airflow into the engine more smoothly. Combined with exhaust changes, the engine could now move air faster in and out. This is where power starts to grow. After hardware upgrades, they went to tuning. The ECU was adjusted carefully, not rushed, not random. Fine-tuned to match the new airflow and exhaust setup. The result was huge. The car went from about 510 horsepower to around 644 horsepower. Torque jumped to 816 Newton meters. That is serious power for a sedan, but numbers alone do not matter unless the car can handle it. So they tested it, first slow, then faster. Everything felt stable. Then came real testing on track, Nürburgring, one of the hardest tracks in the world. Wet conditions, dry conditions, different modes. The BMW showed something surprising. With xDrive, it could put power down very well. It was not just fast in a straight line, it was stable in corners too. Then came something even more intense. A comparison against a Lamborghini Huracan Performante, a proper supercar, light, loud, sharp. On paper, the Lamborghini should win easily, but on track, things got interesting. The BMW, despite being heavier, kept up. In some laps, it even matched the time, around 104.7 seconds, very close to the Lamborghini. That shocked many people watching. It was not just power, it was traction, it was setup, it was balance. The rebuilt M3 was not just repaired, it was transformed.